Okay, today we are going to paint a story, and I think the one that I will paint will be one that involves an adventure I had in 1987 when I went to Guatemala to live for a summer. I lived with a family. There was no English spoken, so I was totally immersed in Spanish for that summer. I decided to take a trip up to Belize to Tikal, which is a very interesting Mayan temple site. So I took a flight on I want to say it was a DC-3. It was one of those older airplanes where they fly a lot by sight and skills. I don't know if it's true or not, but I was told by somebody who's lived in Guatemala for many years, an American, and actually a professor of mine who works for AID, which, as most people now know, is an arm, a political arm of the CIA, which I did go to Guatemala City and saw, was given a security pass to go into the embassy where their headquarters is. That's another story for another time. Anyhow, I was told that because they have the old instruments in these planes, the pilot flies north from Guatemala City to Tikal, flies north. At the third volcano, they turn right. That's what visual flying. So, anyhow, I fly up there, and of course, I'm glad everything went very nicely on the plane flight, no problems. Took a taxi to Tikal, and there I was given I was going to a little grass bamboo hut. I mean, literally, that's what it was a bamboo hut. There was an old swimming pool that was partially filled with green, muddy-looking water, which I think is the source of water for this primitive shower setup that they had in that hut. So it was really primitive. But as a matter of fact, after I had that evening, after I had a dinner of black beans and rice with tortillas, which I still love to this day, corn tortillas, and a couple of Guatemala's beer, gallo it's called, which means rooster, I decided I was going to go to sleep early so I could get up early and go visit the temples. When I was taking my shoes off that night, I sort of like put my hand up against the bamboo side on the wall, and my hand sort of went in an inch or two because it was just bamboo, and my hand went into something that was kind of sticky and I don't know, it was creepy feeling. I pulled my hand out real quick and I thought, WTF, what was that? Well, the next morning I found out what it was, or I'm pretty sure I figured out what it was. It was, I woke up and there was a tarantula hanging on the wall, on the bamboo wall, above my head, above my bed. And that tarantula was big and brown and hairy and as big as my hand, hanging above on the bamboo sides of this hut above my head. Well, that woke me up real quick. I got dressed and started heading into the jungle. It was just becoming light. I set off down this foot trail that led into where the actual park is, where the temples are. As I'm walking down this path, in the semi-dark, I started hearing chattering above me. And I'm thinking, oh, I wonder what the heck that is. And I soon figured out it was monkeys. Monkeys were in the trees above me, following along with me, chattering like crazy. And as I walked along and got further down the trail, this herd or flock, I don't know what you call monkeys, a whole herd of monkeys. I don't know what you call a whole group of monkeys like that. But it started growing and growing, and they were getting louder and louder. And I swear there must have been, I don't know, at least 100 monkeys, if not more, chattering and following me through the jungle, walking down this path. And I started getting freaked out. I started thinking about, and it always scared me as a kid, on Wizard of Oz, those damned scary flying monkeys that the Wicked Witch had. Oh, it still freaked me out when I watched that movie. But that's all I could think of. That and these monkeys, were, I didn't know what was going on. And then I started hearing voices coming down the trail behind me. Of course, everybody, speaking in Spanish. I didn't really know what they were saying. They weren't close yet that I could hear, but there was laughing and, I don't know, people coming down the path. So I don't know why I did this, but I got off the path, probably because I was by myself and being cautious. I got off the path and sort of hid behind a big tree and watched, and it was a group of about, I don't know, 8 or 10 men walking in little tan khaki uniforms. So I realized that they must be the park workers. But they're going down through there laughing and talking and I guess going to work. Some of them were carrying their machetes. Others were eating bananas, I guess their breakfast, as they went down. So after they got through, I came back out on the trail. The monkeys had continued then to follow those men. I suppose this might be a regular occurrence for the monkeys. Maybe they were going to get a piece of banana or whatever the men were eating. So they followed the men, and I didn't have the monkey scare anymore. Sort of walked around, explored a bit. There's all kinds of neat ruins there with ruins of all these different buildings and all, but over all of this, all these ruins towered 2 large pyramid-type structures that were the Mayan temples where they did their worshiping and sacrificing and, all that stuff that they did. So these are very steep, very, very steep pyramids. The 2 large ones, Temple 1 and Temple 2. And I just sort of walked around the bases of the temples, amazed at how tall these structures were, and how large the stones that were used to make these pyramids. And they were very steep. Temple 1 was so steep. I mean, it was all I could do. They actually had a chain running down the middle of the steps so you could hold onto it so you wouldn't fall backwards. Those Mayans really tried to get close to the gods, I suppose. But I got up there, and I'm just now, the sun's really coming up. And it was so beautiful up there because it was still so quiet. There weren't any other tourists there. The sun was now starting to illuminate the sky, and the birds, I could hear birds and monkeys, some close in, some further out in the distance, and all it was just like the jungle was like a sea of green, going out till it reached the horizon. It was really quite peaceful and beautiful. Try to get some little bit of the outline of the temple in here. see if I can, and then let's see, it had another section up here that, and then there was another one up here, and the top of that, it was, I think they called the top the comb. It was up here. And then up at the top, in this chamber in here, it was like a room that goes in at the top of the steps where their altar was, where the sacrifices were actually made. Which, in a way, felt kind of creepy, to tell you the truth, thinking about, I don't know if they beheaded them or poisoned them a little bit before they beheaded them. While I'm standing up there, appreciating the sounds and sights of the jungle at sunrise, and musing about what had happened in the past at these structures that I was observing and standing on, I just felt a sense of peace, actually. Even though it was a bit creepy and overwhelming, it was still a sense of amazement mixed with peacefulness. Yeah, that's starting to look more like a color of weathered limestone. It's the best I can do at this moment, which that's what this is all about, right? Being in the moment, which is how I was living my life back in those earlier times in my life. Sometimes I did things that I'm just surprised I survived. But when you're younger, you have no fear. At least I didn't. I had very little fear of trying new things, seeing new, exploring the world. And it gave me a lot of good memories and experiences, which I think is what life is supposed to be all about, right? So I decided I was just going to walk the circumference of the pyramid around that little ledge, which was about 6 inches wide and crumbly. I found out as I started around it. I got halfway around, going very slowly, clinging, balancing myself on this 6-inch ledge made of 1,000-year-old crumbly limestone. But, I was adventurous. And when I got almost to this corner, I got almost to there when I realized I thought I heard a voice. And I looked, and in the corner there was this little skinny, frail-looking, I guess he was Belize, although I sort of think him as Guatemalan, because Guatemala, like I said, still thinks of Belize as their land and their territory. He's there, and he's going, "Venga, venga," and he's motioning to me to go down this rickety, rusty stairway that was attached to the side corner there of the temple. And I looked at him and I thought, no, I made it halfway around and I'm going to continue. I'm going back. And I told him, nope, I'm going down over there. I'm going over there. And he just sort of looked at me like I had two heads and went back down the ladder. And I thought, shit, when I get down there, I'm probably going to be arrested for doing something illegal. Thinking I'm in the United States where you get arrested for doing stuff like that. So I start continuing up this size, and oh my God, the ledge that I'm walking on was broken away. Like, I don't know, there was probably 10 inches out of it, and it was getting crumbly, and I'm clinging to the side. I'm clinging to the side of the, on this ledge, clinging to the side of the pyramid, the temple, keeping my balance and thinking I can do this. So I made my way over that 10-inch gap, and as I'm doing it, little pebbles and stuff are falling and clinking down the side of the pyramid. And here's me clinging on. It looks like I have little butterfly wings. I climbed around and then finally made it back to the doorway, and I felt exhilarated, and adrenaline was going. But at the same time, I felt like really at peace with the world. It was really a spiritual experience that morning. It was fun. It's something that I remember. Let me put it that way. It was an experience that I remembered. So I got down, and I decided that I felt like I wanted to just sort of walk around and mellow out a little bit after my exhilaration. And I found myself sitting on another part of the ruins, just chilling out, listening to the jungle sounds, which are actually quite soothing. And I couldn't believe it. And about a meter or so from me, no, 3 meters, by about 10 feet. I couldn't believe it. It was beautiful. I'll always remember it. There was this beautiful bird that I only knew as a kid from the Fruit Loops box. A toucan. Flew right at my level of my vision. I'm trying to remember how they look. Right in my line of vision was this beautiful toucan with his multicolored, huge beak. The beak on the bird is darn near as close as in size as the whole body of the bird. And he just flew directly in front of me and sort of like disappeared into the jungle forest. It was just incredible. I just couldn't believe how beautiful it was. It might have been a little bit of green on him too. It was very colorful. But basically what I remember is the huge beak that was yellow and orange. It sort of felt spiritual, you know, after I had just had this, what I consider a spiritual experience, walking the top of the pyramid at sunrise to see this gorgeous, gorgeous bird. And I think I will call this a painting. I wanted to paint tarantula too, but it didn't. I sort of got sidetracked here in the way I wanted to tell the story, but that's the way it goes. So we'll sign this one and call it Another Painting with Donna. Painting a story with Donna. The story of the tarantula, the toucan, and the Mayan temple. I hope you enjoyed this painting, and we'll try it again another time, and maybe I'll do better at storytelling and painting both. Love y'all. Have a good day.